Ah putain, j'ai pas regardé les... Bon bah je vais retenter. Qu'est-ce que tu m'as envoyé comme connerie, toi? Oh, c'est dégueulasse.
Bloody hell. I'm
Ouais.
clapped out. I've got to find a
Ah,
bed.
j'en ai une, donc je vais en profiter. Qu'est-ce que je fous là?
And work. But at 3, I hope you'll all take a quick break for our daily rec.
Ok, je suis retourné. Menu principal. Je diffuse là ou quoi? Ouais. Alors, est-ce qu'il les a enregistrés? Je suis pas sûr. Debout 1, debout 2, debout 3. Ok, il les a enregistrés. Parfait. Bien, c'est reparti.
Bien plus qu'une simple fonction de reproduction, elle fait partie intégrante du système social du bono.
Ah, pardon.
Et ne sont pas seulement réceptives aux mâles, mais aussi aux femelles.
Les chercheurs ont rapidement
Ça faut que je partage. C'est obligé. Partager dans un groupe.
D joue un rôle important dans le comportement de ces singes. Les chercheurs ont rapidement constaté que la sexualité joue un rôle important dans le comportement de ces singes. Bien plus qu'une simple fonction de reproduction, elle fait partie intégrante du système social des bonobos.
Les femelles sont sexuellement réceptives tout au long de leur cycle génital. Et elles ne sont pas seulement réceptives aux mâles, mais aussi aux femelles.
Les chercheurs ont rapidement constaté.
Don't mind me.
Franchement,
Just having a bit of a sit down.
Around the telly for a rousing round of Simon Says. Well, every round the telly, I'll be in the telly, just like every day. I'll be playing it with you, and then there'll be cake and prizes for all winners, and everyone's a winner, and everyone will be there.
Bon.
So don't miss it, or you're a rotten
Just,
egg.
c'est reparti. Quelle heure il est?
Watching the day go by.
Legs, but seriously.
Oh la joie. Eh ben, il n'y a plus d'émission ou quoi?
Simon says spin. Simon says put your hands on your hips. Simon says put your head on your knees. Simon says put your head on your
Ok,
hands.
celui-là je l'avais pas.
Put your hands on
Don't
your
mind
hips.
me. Just having a bit of a sit down.
Simon says come. No. And go to bed. You don't want to be outside in the dark. That's where Foggy Jack hides.
Hush, says the sun, as it tucks me into bed.
Now, if there are other people in your household, please make sure that they know not to let you take any more joy pills for a while, and to make sure you keep drinking
Là, je
lots
l'ai.
and lots of water.
Ok.
Now, how do you ensure that you don't get cholera? Well, we should.
Odd how the fog only comes at night.
Ok.
And obey all official signs. They're for your safety and protection. Make friends with your fellow citizens. Talk to them. Visit them. Wellies love a friendly guest.
Bon,
And we Wellies do love our games.
Nah, just resting my feet.
At hard. Hard. So use our playground.
Oh putain. Oh, il est midi et demi. Je suis presque raccord avec le jeu là. Ah, je suis raccord, carrément. Ça c'est fort. Midi 29. Et là, je suis plus raccord.
Painted on it. What is it?
Dis-moi que je l'ai pas celle-là, dis-moi que je l'ai pas, dis-moi que je l'ai pas.
Take the hat off, it would make a perfect umbrella stand. I think I can get the hat off if I heat
Yes.
up the bottom part of the fireplace. What do you think? Uh-oh. Well, Mrs. Overshaw, fireplace, what do you think? Uh-oh. but only around your parents.
Dis-moi que j'ai pas, dis-moi que j'ai pas, dis-moi que j'ai pas.
It's very important food for reindeer, yes. However, we don't have any reindeer here in England, and we haven't had any since the last ice age, so
Oh,
I
je l'ai.
think they won't mind if you eat it. The best way to eat it is by drying it and then crushing it. Then crushing it, then soaking it in.
Fog's probably starting to roll in about now. I've always sort of liked the night. Quiet. Aside from
Il
the
arrive.
occasional scream.
Ouais. 7h. Ou 6h. Tiens, on va se mettre à 6h. 6h55. Je peux attendre 5 minutes. Ils sont pas des vrais 5 minutes.
And it's another brilliant day in Wellington Wells. The weather is a little rainy, but I think I can assure you that it's going to dry up to merely a bit overcast.
Just,
The one thing about English weather,
watching the day go
you're always
by.
going to get overcast.
C'est bien, j'avance dans les jours. Je vais pas me préoccuper de ça après.
It's the perfect drink to put out these fires.
Dis-moi que je sais pas, dis-moi que je sais pas, dis-moi que
Why,
je sais pas.
Summer Isle Ale, of course. And the head brewer, Lord Summer Isle, as they call him, has brewed up
Yes,
a
je
very
l'avais pas.
special medieval ale to sell only in the first and brew it. And welcome to today's edition of Well. Now we talk about how to be woofed. You're not
Oh
having
là là.
traditional English toothbrush. Some of you aren't even.
Night's coming on.
Imagine that.
Easier to get around at night. Except for the bobbies. And the odd hooligan.
We last left the town of Hammond filled with rats. Horrible rats, eating them out of house and home.
Allez, dis-moi que je l'ai pas.
Piper, in a motley coat, has promised to get rid of every last rat by playing music to them.
Bon, je l'ai.
But he expects a
Don't
lot of
mind me.
money.
Just having a bit of a
Ah,
sit down.
10h43, oui, j'avais pas fait gaffe. Ouais, tant pis, on va attendre un peu, c'est pas grave. Ça va passer vite. Allez.
And it's another fabulous day
Je suis là, hein.
in Wellington Wells. The sun is up, and the weather is overcast and only slightly rainy, with occasional patches of lovely sunshine.
Il est buggy.
Wakey, wakey, everyone. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Good morning, dear friends. Good morning
Ah.
to
Just,
you.
Ah,
watching the day go by.
Well, I hope you all had a lovely night's sleep with lovely dreams. It's shaping up to be a wonderful morning, and I
C'est pas
think I
celui qui
can promise you
manque.
that it's just going to get better all through the day. This is due to the recent outbreak of being sensible.
moi je l'ai pas dit, moi je l'ai pas dit, moi je l'ai pas.
You can never be too careful these days, eh? Anyway, it's good to know that people are safe in their own homes.
Ok, je
If you
l'ai.
notice any suspicious characters
Just resting my feet.
around your neighborhood, be sure to inform the local policeman if you can.
Bon. C'est pas que c'est chiant, mais presque. Hein.
Simon says swing right. Simon says lunge.
Dis-moi que je l'ai pas, dis-moi que je l'ai
Simon says
pas.
parry. Lunge. Ah! Yes, you. You're out. Remember, the lunge is your finishing blow. Save it for when
Just,
you
Je l'avais.
watching the day go by.
Did you like? Time. When you think about it, jams love the wet and they stay fresh in the cold. So, if you're coughing from time to time, well, there's nothing to worry about, and there's nothing to do about it either. Now, some people get very worried if they're coughing.
C'est chier ça.
Just having a bit of a sit down.
Might be a sign of something nasty like.
I miss my old bed.
Ah, c'est sûr qu'un vent, c'est pas ouf. Hein.
I suppose they'll be rolling up the pavements about
Quelle heure
now.
il est là? 22h, ok. Debout, Jacques 4. Yes.
And it's another fabulous day
Alors
in
attends.
Wellington Wells. I looked at the weather report for you, and apparently it's going to be very
Je les ai pas tous, mais pour moi j'ai celui-là.
Just having a bit of a sit down.
Prochaine sauvegarde, je vais voir dans le menu ce qui me manque.
Isn't that a surprise? Any uncle ever could. And I hope you feel just as fond of me. All right, Rosalie? Good. So it's from...
Je l'ai.
Just,
Ah, des films
watching the
écrits,
day
ouais.
go by.
From Dermot Nightingale. Good. And I'm afraid we've got to the end
Bon,
of
ça
our
doit être la
time.
même.
I do hope that you found these letters not only interesting, but
Celui-là,
useful to you in
celui-là,
your
on s'en
own
fout, lui.
life.
C'est un
Do keep
PNJ
those
à la con.
letters coming.
Voilà.
In fact, with Victory Day coming up, please let me know how you're planning to spend the holiday, and the reader with the most amazing plans to win a prize. Do it again tomorrow for more. Cheerio.
Je me demande si je peux pas rester sur le banc. Il se tourne vers moi. Allez, fais-moi une save, s'il te plaît.
Of Basingstoke Road. Let's see what Winston has to tell us. Dear Uncle Jack, I love your show,
Ah.
especially Humor Hour.
Je l'avais
blah,
pas.
blah, 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 blah.
Il m'a fait une save.
And
Parfait.
here's one you can always
Finis
crack
ta
us
save.
up. Question.
Alors. Pas de bug, pas de bug. S'il te plaît, pas de bug. Yes. Mon dieu, quelle horreur. Qu'est-ce qu'on a? Ouais, ok. Hop, hop, extra, cinéma. Alors. Je vais revoir la liste hein, quand même. Alors, debout, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh là, oh là, oh là, calme-toi. Debout 5, debout 4, debout 3, debout 2, debout 1. Ça, c'est fait. Ensuite, journal, dorme-t-il? Journal TV, dorme-t-il? Oh. Journal TV. Mais il y a écrit Journal TV dessus ou pas? Ah oui. Journal TV. Je n'ai que 3. Quartier des Jardins. Putain, il y en a un paquet. Quartier des Jardins. Actualité. Les choses aléatoires. Bonne nuit. Debout. Bien, 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 bien. Ok. Il manque tous les journaux TV entre eux à partir de midi 16h. Bah, c'est reparti. Il en faut combien? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. J'en ai 3, il m'en manque 6. Oh. Êtes-vous prêt à charger? Yes. Qu'est-ce qu'on se marre.
Just resting my feet.
You can't tell a German anything. How can you tell a German from a pickle? Answer, you can't. You can't tell a German anything.
Ah, ça c'est le matin. Ah, le matin je peux arrêter.
Just,
C'est bien ça. Oui, ça réduit le champ de... À partir de midi, on a dit... c'est ça, entre... À partir de midi 16h. Il en manque 6. Ouais, je vais mettre là.
Mike.
On va attendre un peu.
Every now and then, you might see
Ah
someone
bah je
who
l'avais
seems
pas.
to be sleeping
Parfait.
on the path or
Il
even
manque
in the
5.
middle of the road. Now, we all know that the middle of the road is not the most
C'est bien fait
comfortable
d'attendre.
road. Now, we all what can I do? Well, Charles, I'm so glad you care about Simon Says. It's one of my favorite games, as you probably know. In fact, sometimes
Bon, celui-là je l'ai.
someone would come and
Don't
leave me an
mind me.
answer so I could
Just having a bit of a sit down.
Simon Says. And I'll go there. A day or two before he goes to bed. I think you'll be seeing a lot more of him in a considerably drier state.
C'est le même ça. Hein.
There are very few
Je vais quand
problems
même
that joy
voir
won't
pour
make
voir.
better.
Pour être
All
sûr.
right, Susie? Good.
Ouais.
Well, I'm afraid
Just,
it's time to end our time.
Watching the day go by.
Answers to your questions about your life.
Well, it's time to sneak off to the cinema. I wonder what's playing.
Yes, as you can tell from his name, Mr. Blatang isn't actually a real Englishman. He's an Afrikaner from South Africa, but he's doing his patriotic best to fit in. What do you have for us today, Mr.
Don't mind
Blatang?
me. Just having a bit of a sit down.
Question: how is it done? You both look good, hanging from a tree.
It's actually sort of pretty at night. In a fatal sort of way.
Ok. Direction midi. C'est chiant ce que je fais, hein. Je suis dans ta collecte. Pas très intéressant. Clairement. Déjà que ce que je diffuse, c'est pas forcément très intéressant. De base.
And remember, by the way, don't hesitate to go see your doctor if you need any medical attention. They'll fix up that cut right away. They always check your joy level and make sure that it's where it should be. Good.
Bon, ça je l'ai.
Listen is... Dear Mr. You are, well, you are hiding it very well, and bravo for you.
Est-ce que je l'ai celui-là?
Of course, artichokes are basically monstrously large
Oui.
thistles. But you already
Oui.
know about artichokes. This
Oui,
isn't an
oui,
artichoke.
oui.
It's not even a thistle. It's a nettle.
Except for the night. We would never know the stars.
Scary out there at night. And fatal.
Ah,
No. And that's the end
Oh.
to another happy day in
je crois
Wellington
que je l'ai loupé de
Wells.
peu.
Just resting my feet.
Midi.
Prowl the land.
Il m'en manque 5, hein,
And
j'ai
the
dit.
municipal police simply do not have the resources to patrol places that no one lives. So, be sensible and stay on the painted road. It's there for your enjoyment and protection.
Bon, je l'ai.
The road is all you know, all you need to know.
Ah bah, heureusement que je suis un mec patient. Hein.
The novelist Walter Scott. Wally. Of course, you're liable to work up quite a burning thirst dancing round a maypole, aren't you? What's the perfect drink to put out those fires? Why,
Bon bah, les 50 jours vont arriver facile, hein, au final.
It's a special medieval ale. Welcome to today's edition of Well, 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 the show where we talk about how to be your physical
Ouais,
best.
ça me dit quelque chose, ça.
Now, some of you dear listeners,
Don't mind me.
writing in about
Just having a bit of a sit down.
plague that's have been writing in about some sort
Getting late. I've always sort of liked the night. Quiet. Aside from the occasional scream.
Je crois que c'est 22-30, ouais. 22,
bears who lived
22-30.
in a house
Ah,
in the woods. They were called Henry Bear, Jane Bear, and Jane's father, old Edward Bear. They had barely enough food to feed themselves, but it was enough. Every morning, Henry Bear
Just
had a
resting
big
my
bowl of
feet.
porridge.
allez. C'est reparti pour... Oh, je vais faire 11 heures.
Because he was big, and Jane
Et attendre un peu. Sait-on jamais. On a bien vu que ça pouvait être payant.
Well, hello there. What exactly are you doing? Yes, you there. This is Uncle Jack talking directly to you. Are you where you belong right now? Now,
Ah,
I'm
j'ai
supposed
pas
to be
vu.
doing that.
J'ai pas vu. J'ai pas ok. Bon, bah, je
Yeah,
regardais pas.
Just,
Questions for all of us.
watching the day go by.
Citizens of Wellington Wells. It's not enough to just look out.
Euh...
Wells. It's not enough to just.
Mon Dieu, que c'est chiant.
No. Joy not only makes you happy, it suppresses bad old memories. If you take too much.
Ah putain, le con, je me suis pas levé. Ouais, voilà, c'était obligé. Oh, c'est bon, elle est toujours là.
This is Jack Worthing saying, cheerio, and on with your day.
Bon, bah en tout cas, je l'avais.
Well, it's time to sneak off to the cinema. I wonder what's playing. It's actually sort of pretty at night, in a fatal sort of way.
Ah. Ah non.
Well, it's getting late.
Ah, c'est le début.
It's time for all good citizens to be getting
Ah
ready.
yes, je l'avais pas. Partie 2.
Just,
To read you a bedtime story.
watching the day go by.
Allez, c'est reparti. Midi.
Three bears. Well. You smile, but you can't help feeling happy. Now, normally, I would suggest you take more joy. But some people do have a slight intolerance to joy. Now, if your husband is one of these people, he may
Don't
just
mind me.
what he needs
Just
in
having a
order
bit of a sit down.
to up. Certainly, if he's having night.
Jour 43.
Barley can be pounded into flour with an ordinary mortar. That will use and require a lot of oil. And neither will potatoes unless you've watered them yourself from water out of the tap.
Je suis con, je me lève
And
plus.
especially sawdust
Eh
and
mais...
chaff.
Ah,
You don't have any joy at all.
tellement redondant.
So remember to adjust your dose accordingly. Bear in mind, if sawdust or chaff is
Just resting my feet.
Alors il est 21h.
Except for the night, we would never know the
You don't want to
stars.
be out in it, do you?
C'est la même, hein. Ah. Ah, ok.
You may be surprised to know that a few silly people are still throwing out perfectly good meat scraps. Now, it's never a
J'ai
good
failli
idea
me
to
lever.
throw out food, especially meat. If you have a scrap of meat you don't want to eat
Bon.
or that's gone slightly off,
Don't mind me.
run it right down
Just
to
having a bit of a sit
butcher.
down.
They'll know. Or exchange it for sausage. Timely, informative, and cheery news of Wellington
C'est
Wells.
la même, ça, je suis sûr.
This is Jack Worthing saying goodbye and on with your day. See you soon.
Ça dure vraiment 1 heure, les trucs. C'est chaud, hein.
And if they are, who's under our own little hedge, the wedding party stones? Maybe someone should check. Of course, all this was before we Anglo-Saxons became an island race. Back then, we were pagans and worshipped dark gods.
Just,
Darkness
watching the day go by.
Oui, oui.
or both. Or in the Viking. Hello, and welcome to today's edition of Humor Hour,
Ah, je l'ai eu, ça.
the show where you tell me jokes. Well, I tell the jokes, but you send them in. And
Ouais.
the first joke comes from Mr. Nigel Plaskett.
Just resting my feet.
Royston, writing from George and Dragon.
C'est la même. Mais au cas où.
I thought I'd try the new Joy diet, he says. I didn't know there was a Joy diet. I think it's
Just,
working. I've lost several tastes.
Watching the day go by. Hush, says the sun, as it tucks me into bed.
I will eat and drink some later, said the wolf. And Little Red Riding Hood did as she was told. You sound different, said Little Red
Même si
Riding
je
Hood.
l'ai... Ah non, je l'ai pas eu.
I'm not
Très bien.
myself today, said the wolf. You know how
Just resting my feet.
the wolf. There's a bottle on the table. You ought to know what the real moral is.
Non, ça c'est la même.
The moral of the story is...
Il suffit d'attendre un petit peu.
Well, hello there. What exactly are you doing? Yes, you
Just,
there. This is Uncle
watching
Jack
the day go
talking directly
by.
to you. Are you where you belong?
Bébé Fifi.
Are they? And I swear I could hear chanting. Well, Mrs. Chesterfield, I shouldn't worry. Sometimes, you know, the moon reflects in the windows.
Chalet.
And then, if there's a wind knocking against that window, it can create a flicker effect. Now,
Non, Cheyenne. Tu es plutôt de ce côté-là. Tiens, mets-toi là-bas. Voilà. Voilà.
I miss my old bed. Odd how the fog only comes at night.
On va faire le 50e jour easy.
so Simon says, clap your hands.
Celui-là, je l'ai.
I did say Simon says.
Celui-là, je
I
l'ai.
just said it as part of another sentence, so yes, you and you're out. Simon says you're out. Well, you're all doing brilliant. Isn't this fun, eh? I think it's fun. Simon said, brilliant. Because I hope that's not what you're seeing in the pot. But if you are, then someone in your house may have cholera. Now, cholera is a bit dangerous, but it has a very simple treatment. In the past, you see, we all used to take all sorts of pills for it. But it turns out
Night's coming on. I suppose they'll be rolling up the pavements about now.
and the windows were made out of clear sugar.
Putain, jusqu'à 23h.
They were starving, of course.
Ça, c'était 22h30.
Hansel helped himself to a chunk of the eaves, while Gretel broke off some of the window
je l'ai
frame
pas.
which was made of frosting
Don't mind me. Just having a bit of a sit down.
from inside.
Ah non, pas minuit.
Afraid we'll have to get about time. Tune in tomorrow evening
C'est le même.
for the rest of the story. It's out of your window. It's not a bright idea to go out at night. Who knows what could happen in the fog? You could trip and hurt yourself. You could fall in a hole.
Ah ah.
Foggy Jack might get you.
Allez, encore 4.
Of course, Foggy Jack doesn't really exist, but you can never be careful. Take it from me. Now go there. Ah, yes, but that doesn't solve your problem, does it? How can you enjoy Simon Says better? Well, I can't promise you a way to be less confused. After all, a bit of confusion is normal when you're taking your joy, and you don't want to cut down on your joy, do you? No, of course not. Your joy, do you? No, of course not. No. And on with your day. I'll see you soon.
C'est un peu chiant. Hein.
Fog's probably starting to roll in about now. Easier to get around at night, except for the bobbies and the odd hooligan.
It's getting late, isn't it? It's time for all good citizens to be getting ready to go to bed. Would you like me to read you a bedtime story? Of course you would.
Ouais,
Well,
c'est pas
sit
une
down
émission
next to the
exacte, ça.
fire. You've got
Nah, just resting my feet.
And I'll tell you something that happened.
Pardon, Fifi. Oh là là.
Questions. Do you feel pain in your bones? Are you having trouble catching your breath? Do you find that you bruise easily? Are your teeth a little loose in their sockets and you're under 70
Je
years old?
l'ai.
Just,
Mon Dieu, qu'est-ce que j'aime
watching
pas
the
cette
day go
phrase.
by.
Other symptoms,
Jour 48.
milligrams of vitamin C for every 100 grams you eat. Chicory has
Ça,
14
ok.
milligrams of vitamin C for every...
Getting late.
For all good citizens to be comfy and cozy and safe behind their doors. It's certainly, and it's time for all good citizens to be comfy and cozy and safe behind
Don't mind
their
me.
doors.
Ok.
Just having a bit of a sit down.
You may be surprised to know that a few silly people are still throwing out perfectly good meat scraps. Now, it's never a good idea to throw out food, especially meat.
Ok.
If you have a scrap of meat you don't want to eat or that's gone slightly off,
Ah oui, non, ça dure pas vraiment 1 heure parce que les heures dans le jeu sont pas des vraies heures. Hein.
I should have more about that for you in the upcoming days. And
C'est la même,
I'm
hein,
afraid
mais
we've
je sais
come
quand
to the
même.
end of our
Au cas
time.
où.
Tune in again tomorrow for more timely, informative,
Nah,
and cheery
just
news
resting
of
my
the
feet.
world. So saying goodbye.
Oui, chichi. Jour 49. C'est bon. Le trophée des 50 jours va tomber. Oui, chichi, mais je suis occupé. J'ai les mains prises.
Doing well, Spirit. Everybody give him a hand. Good. No. I can say Simon Says. All right then.
Non, chichi.
Now what I
Ouais,
want,
je sais.
I want everyone to get themselves a weapon.
Mais je peux pas te faire tout le temps des câlins, hein. Je passerai ma vie à faire
All you
ça.
have is a banana, well, that. And if all you have is a banana, I said, we've come to the end of our time. Tune in again next time for
ça,
another
c'est le même, mais
rousing
je le fais au cas où.
recreational activity. Thank you all for playing.
Non, chichi.
Welcome to today's edition of Well, the show where we talk about how to be your physical best. Now, we all know how to be our mental best, don't we? If you're feeling a bit listless and down, there's a simple and easy answer. Pop a joy. You can't be too happy.
Pop a joy.
Being a citizen, though, having to feel sorry for yourself. You're taking enough joy.
Ouais, c'est la même
There's no more
émission.
excuse for feeling
On a
bad.
compris que...
Night's coming on. I've always sort of liked the night. Quiet. Aside from the occasional scream.
It's best not to go into it. Strange things happen in fairy tales, but even stranger and nastier things happen in the past. Thank goodness we're not living then, and our days are bright and filled with joy.
Watching the day go by.
Les 50 jours tombent. Maintenant. On va attendre un peu. Mais oui, Fifi. Survivaliste. C'est bon.
Having trouble sleeping? Think it might be nice to take a walk down your street and take in the moon and stars? Well, get yourself into your kitchen and warm up a cup of milk and go take a look at the moon and the stars out of your window. It's not a bright idea to go out at night. Who knows what could happen in the fog? You could trip and hurt yourself. You could fall in a hole. Foggy Jack might get you. Of course, Foggy Jack doesn't really exist. But you can never be too careful. Take it from me, Jack Wood. Stay inside until dawn and greet the bright new day. You'll be glad you did.
Je fais un deuxième dans la foulée? C'est quoi ce délire? Bravo.
Just resting my feet.
Rosalie? Cool. This one is from... Ah, yes, it's from Dermot Nightingale of Gascoigne.
Ouais, forcément. Putain, Cheyenne, t'es envahissant.
Dear Uncle Jack, a few days ago, but I do hope that you found his letters not only interesting, but useful to you in your own life. In fact, it's coming. In fact...
Bon.
I tell the jokes and you send them in. And the first joke comes from Winston Smith of Basingstoke Road. Let's see what Winston has to tell.
Ouais, il m'en manque plus beaucoup et plus il va me manquer.
Just having a bit of a sit down.
Ça va être long.
Well, it's time to sneak off to the cinema. I wonder what's playing. I suppose they'll be rolling up the pavements about now.
On s'en fout. Abonnement 12 mois, 45 €, on s'en fout. Little Nightmare, je l'ai. Tekken, Wolfenstein. Oh, combien? Voilà, on s'en fout.
It was a tiny pipe, made of horn, and no one could even hear the music that it played. But soon, out of every barn and every field, out of every kitchen and every storehouse, all of the rats of the town swarmed.
Wolfenstein, 10 €. Ouais, bah, tant que j'ai pas fait le 12, de toute façon. Le 12, ça risque d'être compliqué. Wolfenstein. Ah, Little Nightmare 2. Ouais, mais non. Qu'est-ce qu'il y a d'autre? Marvel, on s'en fout. Ubisoft, on s'en fout. C'est Escapiste, on s'en fout. Bon, y a rien. Nioh 2, on s'en fout. On n'a pas fait la 1 heure.
And now, it's time for I Hear You, the part of our show where Jack Worthing, that's me, answers your letters and questions about our life in Wellington Wells. And Today's first letter is from Charles Hawtrey of St.
Il ne
James
peut pas
Bray.
manquer grand chose. Hein.
Dear Uncle Jack, do I call you Sue? I'd like to think I can call you Sue. May I call you Sue?
C'est obligé que ça allait être relou.
Fog's
Oui, c'est
probably
la
starting to
loi.
roll in about now.
Answer. Eventually they'll both stop whining. Oh, Mr. Kitchen, you're quite a character, aren't you?
Just watching the day go by. Easier to get around at night, except for the bobbies and the odd hooligan.
Ok.
And for any reason he fails to recover, don't feel bad. Sad feelings are contagious, and one bad apple can spoil the lot. Go on your way and
Ah, je l'avais
have a
pas.
lovely day.
Il en manque 3.
Just resting my feet.
Your help is much appreciated in this matter. Well, it looks like Mr. Lyden has been experiencing one of the odd side effects of joy. It does happen from time to time. It's called capgras delusion, and it's not unheard of.
Don't mind me.
Mr. Lyden,
Just having a bit of a sit down.
and then he was
Je crois que je vais refaire un tour dans le menu. Là. Ah, je vais faire ça la prochaine save. Parce que
you can also use them to thicken your soup.
si bon, pas ceux de
rest of
la...
the plant. You can eat the young leaves and
Bon,
salads,
lesquels
and
me
even
manquent
cook up
aussi en
the old
soirée.
leaves like spinach. Goosefoot salad and orache bread. What a filling meal.
Just
And it's all
watching
free.
the day go by.
Chowing down like a cow. But you're not a cow, or I'm coming to your house.
I miss my old bed. Except for the night. We would never know the stars.
Someone's been at my porridge too, said old Edward Bear. And Jane Bear looked at her bowl, and she was very upset. Someone's been at my porridge too.
Bon, là,
and
ça
they
va
ate
save,
it
je
all
crois,
up.
je change de journée.
Very.
Alors,
But now she'd nothing to eat except.
non, ça va pas save.
Sometimes
Ça save.
people get confused about the garden district.
Menu principal. Yes. On va faire un point sur la liste. Appuyer. Ah, c'est lui. Journal TV, je vous écoute. Étrange tradition. Le soir. Ah putain, il y en a plein. Alors. Donc, j'avais... où est-ce qu'ils sont le matin? On va faire ça dans l'ordre. C'est ça. Non. Bonne nuit. Debout. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. C'est fait. Journal TV. Alors j'en ai 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Il m'en manque 4. Ok. Je vous écoute. Il en faut 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. J'en ai 1, 2, 3. Ah non, j'en ai 2. J'en ai 1. C'est pas vrai. Ben non, ils sont pas appelés pareil les autres. Le mot du jour. Jacques a dit. C'est pas. Ah ok, c'est je vous entends, c'est pas la même chose. Là il y a écrit je vous écoute. J'en ai 2. Où est-ce qu'ils sont? Les Britanniques. C'est quoi les Britanniques? Où est-ce qu'ils sont? Ah, c'est l'heure de l'humour. Ok. J'en ai 2 sur 3. Super, bonne nuit. Elle est bien, j'en ai pas. Ah si. 1, 2. 2. Putain, il m'en manque sur 4. Ah, je vous écoute. Qui êtes-vous? De qui êtes-vous l'oncle? Les vieux journaux. Joy. Alors, les vieux journaux. Joy. 1 sur 2 là. Et mon mari dort. Ah, il y en a. Oh putain, je les ai pratiquement tous, attends. Alors, je vous écoute. Ils sont pas... Le mot du jour. Alors, mon mari dort, je l'ai pas vu. Le mot du jour est Jacques a dit. D'accord. De qui est-vous l'oncle? Il m'en manque 1. Mon mari dort. Ah non, je l'ai. Ok, ça je les ai. Tous, étrange tradition. Il en faut 3. L'arbre, le sacrifice humain et les piñatas. Étrange tradition. L'arbre. Étrange tradition, le sacrifice humain, étrange tradition, le piñatas, je les ai. Ok, donc j'ai de midi à partir de 16h. À partir de 16h, c'est ok. Donc il faut midi 16h, ok. 19h30. C'est délicieux, qu'est-ce que c'est? Donc il faut que je fasse de midi à 16h, ok. Alors, c'est délicieux, qu'est-ce que c'est? On va descendre. Titanic célèbre. Voilà, on va mettre ça dans l'ordre. C'est délicieux, qu'est-ce que c'est? Là j'en ai 2. Alors il y a... J'ai le lithium et les œufs comestibles. Ok, il m'en manque un, les conservateurs. Est-ce qu'il n'est pas quelque part? Il y en a combien? Il y en a 3, c'est ça. Donc c'est délicieux. Qu'est-ce que c'est? Ah, je l'ai. Les conservateurs. Ça c'est bon. L'heure de l'humour. les rabat-joie, il en faut combien? 3. Les Allemands, les Britanniques, les rabat-joie. Donc l'heure de l'humour. Je vous écoute étrange. Donc j'ai les rabat-joie, l'heure de l'humour, l'heure de l'humour, les Allemands. Il m'en manque un. L'heure de l'humour. Ok, il manque un heure de l'humour. Donc ça c'est de 19, à partir de 19h30. Britannique célèbre, il en faut 2. Ah, j'en ai aucun. Ils sont tout en bas. Il me semble que j'en ai vu, non? Britannique célèbre. Georges III. Marie la sanglante. Ok, donc il me manque. Pour l'instant là il m'en manque 2 à partir de 19h30. Et il me faut 4 biens. Et bien. J'en ai 1, 2. Trois, 4. D'accord, donc il m'en manque que 2. 2. Alors 4 à partir de midi, 2 à partir de 19h30, faut que je me souvienne. Et à partir de... Ah, c'est à partir de 22h30. Ah oui, donc il peut y en avoir plus tard, mais je sais pas. Toute la nuit, je sais pas. Alors, bonne nuit. On va monter. Il en faut 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Et j'en ai 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. Ok. 2 la nuit. 2 à partir de 19h30. Ok. Je suis pas obligé de tout refaire. C'est des barres. Les gens sont tellement cons. Donc j'ai dit 4 à partir de midi, 2 à partir de 16h. Non, 16h c'est fait, 19h30. Midi, ça c'est fait, ok, 19h30. Et 2 à partir de 22h30.
Just resting my feet.
Il est quelle heure là?
People get confused about the garden district. But we English love our gardens, don't we?
Forcément.
And from the painted road we call
Don't mind me. Just having a bit
Ça
of
aurait
a
été
sit
trop
down.
facile. Hein.
Wellington, very wasteful and depressing town. Women wrapping ribbons around the maypole by dancing only dates to Victorian times. It makes sense, doesn't it? Before that, really long ribbons were much too expensive. Yes. A lot of ancient customs are really Victorian. For example, the idea that each Scottish
Ok,
clan has its
donc
own
là, faut que j'aille à
partie.
19h30.
Who made that up?
Watching the day go by.
On va
The
attendre.
novelist Walter Scott.
Je peux me lever déjà. Des génies. Les gens sont des génies.
Welcome to today's edition of Well, the show where we talk about
J'ai pas regardé
how to
si-
be your physical best.
Don't mind me. Just having a bit of a sit down.
How you dear to be your physical best.
Hush, says the sun, as it tucks me into bed. It's actually sort of pretty at night, in a fatal sort of way.
Tonight's story is called Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Once upon a time, there were three bears who lived in a house in the woods.
Donc là, on est la
They were
nuit.
called Henry Bear, Jane Bear,
Donc, est-ce que je vais faire toute la nuit pour voir s'il y en a d'autres?
so she
Ah,
looked
il y en
to
a
the
toute la
bedroom,
nuit?
and as the bears had a very small
C'est la même
house,
chose.
and she saw
Ah, c'est quand même pas des émissions, ça. Ah non. Ah, je suis pas obligé de rester toute la nuit, il n'y en a pas la nuit, vu qu'il n'y a pas de... C'est couvre-feu. Alors... J'attends midi.
Well, hello there. What exactly are you doing? Yes,
Just,
you there.
Watching the day go by.
Yes,
Il répond à la
you there.
question en plus. Tu m'étonnes, je regarde les heures défiler. Les jours même, les semaines. C'est passionnant.
But you really have to work at it. You have to take a great deal of joy before you experience any toxic effects. Joy is quite safe in the short term, and you can take up to 10 pills per day if you're a man of average weight.
Quelle heure il est?
However,
Just resting my feet.
side effects, as we
Ok,
all
donc
know,
là je peux passer à 19h30.
no.
Voilà, on va attendre
Joy not only makes
15
you
minutes.
now it's time for Famous Britons, the show in which Jack Worthy
Ça, je l'ai
and
dit.
me interview some of our most celebrated countrymen. Today, we have in our studio some of our most celebrated countrymen.
Getting late. Odd how the fog only comes at night.
We last left Goldilocks fast asleep in the Three Bears house. She's eaten Jane Bear's
ça je l'ai.
and made a mess of the dining room and the bedroom. And she's still asleep in Jane Bear's bed.
Don't mind me.
C'est reparti.
Just having a bit of a sit down.
Soon enough, the Three Bears...
Oh putain. Qu'est-ce que j'aime pas les collectibles dans les jeux par contre, c'est casse-couille. Ok. Oui, bah là, je suis 6 heures de passer. Hein.
But you can see it's not nightmares. So, come
le
on,
bras KO,
have a
mais-
little conjugal consideration and appreciate his good qualities. Assuming he is, after all, not an imposter.
Just resting my feet.
Build up those muscles. Now, once you've got your barley flour, you just
Je l'ai, ça.
jolly well mix it in with wheat flour. If you can get it, that is. See,
Oh
Just,
là là.
gluten that
Watching the day go by.
See, flour provides.
J'ai tout
If
fait
you're
en
hungry, you might even forget that you haven't eaten at all. Just get back to real food as
C'est
soon
la
as
même
you
chose.
can. You'll be right as rain. Oh,
Don't mind me.
I'm afraid of
Just having a bit of a sit down.
This is Uncle Jack wishing you.
I've always sort of liked the night. Quiet. Aside from the occasional scream.
En 3 heures, il n'y a rien, je crois. Hein.
It's
Ah,
the
si.
Little Red Riding Hood, said the wolf. These don't sound a little bit like my daughter, said Little Red Riding Hood's mother.
Yes, je l'avais pas.
Ah,
Il
yeah,
m'en manque un la
Just,
lumière.
Out of breath. I've been running
watching
away
the
from
day
you.
go by.
Please, let me in. Beanies may smell off on rainy days, but it's always nutritious, and never actually goes bad. I'm happy to report that many homeowners are taking steps to ensure the security of their castles. I homes for an Englishman's home. That worshipped dark gods. The darkest and most important of the gods was Wotan,
Quelle heure il est?
or as the Vikings called him, Odin. He was a war god.
19h30.
Just resting
Allez,
my feet.
hop.
And the 99 men and women in a... Hello, and welcome to today's edition of Humor Hour, the show where you tell me jokes.
Just resting my feet.
I did. And the first joke from... Here's one from Felicity...
C'est le
Hush,
même.
says the sun, as it tucks me into bed.
It's Little Red Riding Hood, said Little Red Riding Hood.
Je l'ai.
Come and see in here, sang out the wolf. I mean,
Écoutez, c'est le dernier que j'ai écouté, au cas où.
Mother, I've come to bring you a pie and some milk, said Little Red Riding
Don't
Hood.
mind me. Just having a bit of a sit down.
I will eat and drink some later.
Quelle horreur. Quelle heure il est? 14h. Ah, Off.
What kind of queen is happy all the time? Do you know, the few times I was happy,
Huh?
I barely cut anyone's head off at all. Well, surely
Yes.
there's more to life than just beheading.
Il m'en manque un.
Well, we did try beheading goats for a while, but it wasn't quite the same, was it?
Well, it's time to sneak off to the cinema.
Un
I
en
wonder what's
soirée,
playing.
un la
Odd how
nuit,
the fog only comes at
3
night.
à midi.
In bed, aren't you? Oh, of course you are. Unless you're foggy Jack, that is. Well, it's
Oh
night,
putain.
and a fog is rolling in from the river. You're all safe.
Au cas où.
His parents had overheard the entire conversation. Well, they had very good hearing.
Là je l'ai.
They'd not been sleeping well. And
Ah
Hansel
non,
said to
yes,
Gretel,
la nuit c'est fait.
"Our son's going to leave us in the woods to starve. What shall we do?" Because no matter what we've been through, we're all alive and happy.
Donc il m'en manque 3 à midi donc.
I just want you to meditate on that essential fact of our existence.
Yes. 2.
This is Uncle Jack saying,
Putain, ça fait plaisir ça.
smile means so much. It's easy because it's easy. Simon says, put your hands on your head. Simon
Ah
says,
non.
touch your feet. Simon says,
Putain,
never
n'importe
mind.
quoi. C'est
Clap
1h30
your
que
hands.
je dois aller.
Watching the day go by.
Do that. You're... yes.
Well.
And welcome to today's edition of Well, the show where we talk about how to be your physical best. Now, we all know what to do about the blahs, don't we? Physical best. Now, you know your limbs just fall off. So don't worry if you're losing sensation in your extremities. We'll probably done something else first.
Getting late.
Or radio, and I'll tell you how it ends. When we left Hansel and Gretel, their son had just abandoned them in the woods for the second time. But Hansel and Gretel had cleverly left a trail of breadcrumbs for them to... Well,
Ça je l'ai. Il est 16h30 passé.
one is
Je peux les voir quand même.
And Mrs. Susan Brimble of Northumberland Passage. Dear
Right.
Mr. Worthing,
Just resting my feet.
so formal. You can call me Cladonia, right as rain. Our friend Cladonia has all sorts of medicinal value, from keeping you regular to a mild antiseptic quality. You can even use it to flavour your aquavit if you've got any left.
Fog's probably starting to roll in about now.
A lovely bedtime story I'd like to tell you.
Ah.
Hundreds of rats, then thousands of them. They swarmed into the town, and they said to themselves in their rat speech, "Here is a rich town. Let us eat everything we can." So they
Don't
could
mind
raid,
me.
they
Just
took
having a bit of a
their way
sit
to
down.
cupboards to eat the cheese. They even ate chicken.
Pour 60, putain.
What's the perfect drink to put out those fires? Why, Summer Isle Ale, of course. And the head brewer, Lord Summerisle, as they call him, has brewed up a very special medieval ale to sell only in the first week of May.
Oui, oui.
Very special medieval ale. And welcome to today's edition of Well, 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 the show
Just,
we talk about how to be.
Watching the day go by.
We talk about how to be. You're not having a traditional English two-veg. Some of you aren't even.
Night's coming on.
Imagine that.
Except for the night. We would never know the stars.
Last left the town of Hammond filled with rats. Horrible rats, eating them out of house and home.
Pas qu'on s'emmerde, mais un peu.
A piper, in a motley coat, has promised to get rid of every last rat by playing music to them. But he expects a lot of money, and they've agreed to pay him. Although he tried his best. And it's a good thing, too, for... Otherwise, we never know how... Even more particularly imaginative attempt at making our city even more colourful. So we expect blue powder and red powder in the next few days. Will there be rainbow-coloured dust devils? Well, no one can make
Don't mind me. Just having a bit of a sit down.
But I can assure you, there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to worry about.
Ouais.
Simon says. Simon says, don't do the next thing I say. Oh, what do I do? What? Yes, tuberculosis is a nasty, infectious disease that we just about eliminated from England before the war. Guess who brought it back to us? I won't tell you, but they weren't mermen, and they weren't called herbs.
Just,
and they didn't come to reach a surface.
watching the day go by.
Yes.
I miss my old
Well,
bed.
some of them are called
Easier to get around at night. Except for the bobbies. And the odd hooligan.
But soon there were hundreds of rats, then thousands of them. They swarmed into the town, and they said to themselves in their rat speech, "Here is a rich town. Let us eat everything we can." They eat the grain, they choose their way. The way uncles do, eh? All you need to know, my dear, is that I feel as fond of you as any uncle ever could. And I hope you feel just as fond of me. All right, Rosalie? Good.
Just resting my feet.
So it is from... Welcome to today's edition of Humor Hour. Welcome to today's edition of Humor at our studio, 2 Marlborough House, in the centre of Wellington Wells.
Fog's probably starting to roll in about now.
We last left the town of Hammond filled with rats. Horrible rats, eating them out of house and home.
Oh,
But a piper in a motley coat has promised to get rid of every last rat by playing music to them. But he expects a lot. Very good indeed. This is from Mrs. Jemima Hughes of Coronation Avenue.
Don't mind me. Just having a bit of a sit down.
Joke. If you sit down, take your joy. And if you see someone who seems a bit down,
Night's coming on.
take your joy.
It's actually sort of pretty at night. In a fatal sort of way.
Well, I hope you're indoors by myself, and 3 for Big Henry Bear. They took their joy right away, of course, because they knew it's always best to start the day with joy. And then they would go out for a walk in the woods to find berries to put in their porridge while it cooled.
ça me paraît qu'il y en a minuit. Ouais.
Had enough joy today. Most sensible people will realize they've forgotten their morning joy. After all, forgetfulness can happen to any of us. In fact, it's a sign you're taking your joy. So remind them and they'll take their joy right away and yes, problem solved. Of course, there are the poor benighted wastrels in the garden district, which is reason enough not to go there if you need a reason. Not to mention the unexploded bombs, the rusty scraps of metal, and holes that you can fall into.
Don't mind me.
And I don't
Just having a bit of a sit down.
It is outside the... No, you need to think about going there. Ah, hello. Welcome to today's edition of That Tastes Amazing.
Just,
What is it?
watching the day go by.
This is the show where... Well, what is it? Better if you boil it for at least half an hour. Chicory is best known as...
Hush,
plant.
says the sun,
Young leaves.
as it tucks me into bed.
We last left Goldilocks fast asleep in the 3 Bears' house. She's eaten Jane Bear's porridge and made a mess of the dining room and the bedroom.
Ça, je
And she's
dis.
still asleep in Jane Bear's.
Just resting my feet.
And soon enough, the 3 Bears... Sometimes People get confused about the garden district.
Oh, ça y est, ça me va.
We English love our gardens, don't we? And from the root gardens, don't we? The navel for as long as we've been burning virgins in giant wicker men, haven't we? But don't really do that anymore, do we? Apparently, though, the custom of men and women wrapping ribbons around the navel like that
Just resting my feet.
relates to Victorian. It makes sense, doesn't it?
Ah non, c'est pas ce que je devais faire.
I miss my old bed. I suppose they'll be rolling up the pavements about now.
So they have not protected themselves so well. So she pried the window open and went into the bear's house, even though she did not belong there. And she found herself in front of the dining
Just,
table. Now,
watching the day go by.
particularly hungry, and she was used.
Oui, je vais m'endormir hein, devant mon écran.
Mr. Farrow, I can assure you that no such thing exists. Mr. Farrow, I can be as a mad King George. Still, you accomplished quite a bit in your age. Yes, I have. Yeah. I had to talk about some of your serious things, my friend. I grew smashing carrots. Really did. In fact, I was known as Father.
Don't mind me. Just having a bit of a sit down.
But those damn rabbits, Jack!
Well, it's time to sneak off to the cinema. I wonder what's playing. I've always sort of liked the night. Quiet. Aside from the occasional scream.
Sitting in the middle of his porridge. Someone's been at my porridge, he said in his great, big, gruff bear voice.
Je l'ai eu ça.
That old Edward Bear saw that there was a spoon in his bowl of porridge.
Putain!
Someone's been at my porridge too. Jane Bear looked at her bowl.
Ah, je suis con.
Our first letter is from Mrs. Emily Cluley of Falkland Road. Dear Uncle Jack, I adore your show and thank you for answering my question. I have a big Victorian bed that my husband inherited from his grand. I have a big Victorian.
Getting late.
Well, so much for you, Barney. Now, if you can still get your hands on a potato flour is another excellent extender for your flour supplies. Very important. It's an excellent extender for your flour.
Odd how the fog only comes at night.
Of the juiciest cuts. These he sliced onto a platter, but he was very good with a knife.
Déjà eu.
Then the wolf put on the mother's pajamas and got into bed. We've come to the end of our time. You know, in their own homes. If you notice any suspicious characters skulking around your neighborhood, be sure to lock all your doors and bar all your windows, and inform a local policeman if you can find one.
Just, watching the day go by.
Happy to report the graduation of a new class of policemen. You can see a new face.
Je vais faire une sieste, je m'endors. Hein.
At least, I hope you don't. Well, remember me in your prayers, whoever it is you're praying to. And tune in again soon, or Uncle Jack.
Just resting my feet.
He asks the doctor. The doctor replies, "You're not eating properly." That's excellent, Mr. Placid. Very good. I can certainly think of better ways to
Don't
eat
mind
a
me.
banana, if I
Just
could
having
get
a bit of a
one.
sit down.
Very good. Very good. Don't forget to do it. Well, I should be a little more specific next time, eh? Well, that was a bit strange. Now, let's see what else we've got. Got one here from Cyril Pike of Inchin Circle.
Just resting my feet.
He
Night's
was
coming
with
on.
his wife the other day.
Except for the night. We would never know the stars.
"Are you hungry?" said Little Red Riding Hood. "I got you some ham," said the wolf.
J'ai eu ça.
"Why don't you make yourself a ham sandwich?" So Little Red Riding Hood made a
Pour la
ham
prochaine
sandwich
save,
out of a
je
Just
m'en
having a bit of a sit down.
ate it right up. "This is
Eh
delicious," she
oui,
said.
lourd.
Exactly. Well, hello there. What exactly are you doing? Yes, you there.
Ah, save.
This is Uncle Jack talking directly to you. Are you where you belong right
Ok,
now?
allez.
You-
Voilà, ça m'a saoulé.